So this week has been wild. As I'm sure you've heard, FTX, the second largest crypto exchange, just went bankrupt. I've seen a lot of incomplete and inaccurate information on Twitter and YouTube, so I'm here to tell you the full story, everything that has happened so far, and what you should do about it. Things are changing very quickly, so subscribe here on YouTube and Twitter and you'll be the first to know. There's a lot to talk about, so let's just get right into it. So this story starts a few years ago. A guy in his late 20s named Sam Bankman-Fried, or SBF, started two companies. The main one in this story is FTX, a cryptocurrency exchange. Binance, the largest crypto exchange at the time and still to this day, which was founded and run by CZ, was an early investor in FTX. Fast forward a couple years, FTX is growing faster than SBF's hair. It becomes the #2 biggest exchange in the world. Right, so Binance is #1 and FTX is #2. FTX cut huge market deals with the likes of Tom Brady, Steph Curry, Larry David during the Super Bowl, and those guys ain't cheap. So you know FTX was doing real good. So FTX and Binance started as friends and are now fierce competitors. Last year, Binance decided it's time to sell its stake in FTX, and FTX also wanted to cut ties with Binance. As part of the deal, Binance agreed to take $2 billion of its stake in FTT, a token that FTX created that it uses for perks on its platform. It has no real uses outside FTX, and FTX owns most of it. If that sounds fishy, that's because it is. And unfortunately, it's how many cryptocurrencies are designed. So now Binance and FTX have seemingly cut ties, except for the part where Binance owns a metric ton of FTT, which is a majority of FTX's balance sheet. FTT is very illiquid with a low trading volume, which will become important in just a minute. Remember that second company that SBF also started? It's a crypto trading hedge fund called Alameda Research. And he had FTX give a bunch of those FTT tokens to Alameda, and Alameda would also serve as their market maker and potentially hold FTX customer funds. No one knows the exact nature of the relationship, but at a high level, that's how the two companies, FTX and Alameda, are tied together here. And what does Alameda do with all those funds from FTX? They use it for leverage, where they take a loan out using FTT, an illiquid volatile asset, as collateral, and they could get margin called or liquidated if the price drops too low. All while their biggest competitor has enough of the collateral, again FTT, to basically control its price. What could possibly go wrong? Absolutely everything went wrong, in case you missed the foreshadowing I'm doing here. We're almost at the juicy stuff, I promise, and you can probably see how we have this house of cards sitting here just waiting for someone, Binance, to poke the bottom out. You probably also see that red subscribe button down there, so if you've seen enough red this week, I'd appreciate you turning it a different color, preferably a light gray. So fast forward literally like 2 weeks ago, SBF and CZ kinda hate each other, a lot of it stemming from recent disagreements on crypto regulations by governments. SBF has been calling for more regulations and donating $40 million to political campaigns, while CZ has been calling for less regulations. They're at opposite ends of the spectrum. SBF jabs at CZ on Twitter, joking CZ is banned from the US, and CZ says SBF has been lobbying regulators against Binance behind his back. Classic case of he said schoolyard drama, except with billions of dollars on the line. Then a few days later, on November 2nd, a CoinDesk article out of nowhere reveals something very scary about Alameda, which is FTX's more or less sister company at this point. And again, all owned by SBF. According to the leaked balance sheet from June, Alameda had $14.6 billion of assets, which sounds like a lot, but $5.8 billion was in FTT, which is their own token, which is almost half of their total holdings. On top of that, it had $8 billion worth of liabilities, almost all of which were loans that they were unable to pay back because most of their balance sheet is illiquid volatile cryptocurrencies like FTT. CZ takes this opportunity to basically pull a 360 no-scope headshot on his biggest competitor. So on November 6th, he announced publicly on Twitter to his 7 million followers that due to recent revelations, the conveniently timed leaked balance sheet, that Binance is going to dump their entire $2 billion FTT stack. Remember, that was given to them by FTX. Anyone holding FTT knew this was very, very bad. Remember how I said the FTT token is illiquid and has low trading volume? In that case, when people start selling, there's not a lot of demand from buyers to absorb the supply, so the price goes down. It's basic economics. Well, when there's $2 billion of sell pressure, that would absolutely crash the price. So even though Binance said that they'd sell over several months, people of course started to panic sell, possibly in addition to Binance dumping on the open market. There's a transfer of 22 million FTT tokens from a marked Binance wallet, which CZ confirmed was part of this sell-off, which also served to spark fears. The price of FTT dropped about 15% from its weekly high overnight. Over the next couple days, it crashed from $25 to $2.5 for a whopping 90% decrease, and it's still sinking. But SBF is one of the youngest billionaires. He's a genius and he's famous. Most people think of FTX as a blue chip company. There's no way FTX and Alameda are in danger, right? Nah, of course not. There's nothing to worry about. SBF even tweeted saying, "It's fine," on November 7th. Spoiler alert, things were not fine, and SBF has since deleted that tweet. If all this sounds familiar, that's because it is. The CEO of Celsius, Alex Mashinsky, did the exact same thing, stating that the company was in good health on a public video the literal day before they halted withdrawals and declared bankruptcy. These guys are all the same, man. Shortly after the infamous "It's fine" tweet, Alameda's CEO tweeted they allegedly had a lot more unreported assets to the tune of 10 billion and will happily buy the FTT tokens from Binance off market in attempt to stabilize the price. And to no one's surprise, it never happened. Not just because Binance probably said no, but also because Alameda has no cash to buy FTT, since remember, most of their net worth was already in FTT. If this also sounds familiar, that's because it is. This is basically the Steady Lads tweet from Do Kwon right before Luna collapsed. Like, I know history repeats itself, but like, come on, it hasn't even been 6 months since that whole mess happened and we're following it to the T. So yeah, because that's still on the top of everyone's mind, they freak out and start withdrawing funds from FTX just in case it collapses, like Luna, 3AC, Celsius, BlockFi, Voyager all did in the past 6 months. With over $1 billion of withdrawals, a bank run has officially started and FTX is facing a liquidity crunch. On Tuesday, November 8th, just 1 day after the "It's fine" tweet from SBF, FTX stopped processing withdrawals while going totally dark on all channels. Shortly after, SBF announces they are entering a strategic transaction with Binance. You know what that means at this point. CZ confirmed that Binance entered a deal with FTX to fully buy them out, pending any due diligence. Again, if you picked up on that foreshadowing, unfortunately, less than 24 hours later, Binance stated that they were, quote, staring into a black hole with FTX's balance sheet and their $8 billion of liabilities, and pulled out of the deal. This pretty much sealed FTX's fate since, let's be real, nobody wants anything to do with that absurd level of risk. On the morning of Friday, November 11th, SBF filed all 3 companies, FTX, FTX US, and Alameda Research, for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I just realized it's Chapter 11 on 11/11/2022. 11's a lucky number, I guess. So there's 2 common kinds of bankruptcy, and this is the one where they come up with a long-term plan, and try to dig their way out of the hole. This is not the one where they immediately liquidate all assets and return what's left back to the stakeholders. That's Chapter 7, which is still very much on the table, and we'll just have to see. So basically what I'm getting at is we're stuck for now, and we're probably not going to get a resolution for a very long time. So FTX has collapsed in the grandest of fashions, like a star that gets too big for itself and goes supernova. And it will be devastating for anything that was near it. Bitcoin, for example, is already at the price it was almost exactly 2 years ago at around $16,000. But there's no telling how much further it can fall when FTX, which remember was the second largest crypto exchange in the world, has to liquidate their assets. BlockFi, who I've warned many times about on this channel, was on the verge of bankruptcy and received a $200 million loan from FTX and just stopped processing withdrawals. Voyager went bankrupt and was in the middle of being bought out by FTX. And now both companies are bankrupt. So now they're back to being stuck in the mud with bankruptcy procedures, now joined by FTX. Misery loves company, and you'll see a lot more bad news in the near future. So what should you do about all this? First and foremost, if you have any crypto held with any company, please withdraw everything that you're not willing to lose. This includes FTX. Keep trying to withdraw because some are still going through. Send it to a wallet that you control, even better if it's a hardware wallet or cold storage, which is even more secure than regular wallets. I literally just reviewed the best hardware wallets last week on the channel, and I have tons of other videos on them. So if you want to learn more, links will be up here and down below. It's just not worth the insane risk right now keeping money on these platforms for the small amount of interest you'd get. Second, be very careful with crypto. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and don't even look at leverage. It's shown time and time again that it will wipe you out. SBF is a prime example of this. On Tuesday, his net worth plummeted from 15.6 billion to less than 1 billion in 24 hours. That 94% loss is the worst one-day wipeout for a billionaire ever tracked by Bloomberg, all because he got greedy and took out loans on extremely volatile assets. Third, don't trust anyone in crypto. Don't trust CEOs who lie about their companies being fine when they're not. Don't trust influencers making millions of dollars to sell you on the next big platform or 100x crypto project. Remember, everyone's got an angle. Don't even trust me. While I practice what I preach on the channel, I'm still human and I make mistakes. I've never accepted any money to promote anything, even though I've been offered lots of money to, so I can give you guys my honest opinion. Finally, expect governments to rain down regulation on crypto like Lil Wayne and Fat Joe at a club. It's not all because the second largest crypto exchange collapsed, although that is a big reason in itself. SBF was also working really closely with the regulators looking at crypto. He even donated, again, $40 million to some campaign funds. They're probably feeling duped after all this. SBF had a lot of people fooled in his back pocket, and now they might have a vendetta against the entire industry. So that's where the whole story ends, at least for the foreseeable future. FTX, FTX US, and Alameda Research are officially in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and this process could take months or likely years to resolve. It's very unlikely anyone will want to acquire them with the $8 billion hole. The most likely scenario is they liquidate everything in Chapter 7 bankruptcy and give users back pennies on the dollar, but we'll just have to wait and see until the bankruptcy plays out. Hopefully the industry has learned its lesson over these tough times, and I'm sure it will rise again like a phoenix from the ashes. But things will likely get worse before it gets better. Let me know your thoughts, and if you need someone to talk to, I'm here for you. Thank you so much for watching. If this helped you, I'd appreciate you leaving a like to get the truth out. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy. Voyager went bankrupt.